have to shoot this now, otherwise the sun is gonna go down. I shot this whole video already, but in winter, then it just gets fucking dark outside and the light keeps changing, and the footage became very dark in the end and is almost completely unusable. Oh boy! I hope you're all ready for another game development story that spans over almost 3 years. Because, yeah, if you have seen the making of Cats Organized Neatly, then, yeah, the story I'm gonna tell today is kind of in the same ballpark. We recently finished up another game that took us 3 years to complete, and, yeah, here's the story. So just a quick disclaimer, the development of this game was all over the place, but I wanted to talk about it because some of you that are developing games or plan to develop their own games someday will inevitably run into the same problems that Joseph and me ran into for this particular game. So yeah, I just wanted to talk about it so that you can maybe learn from our mistakes as well. Fucking hurry, because the sun is setting. Let's begin. Turn the clock back to 2017 when I still looked like this. And apparently I couldn't figure out my camera focus then either. Some things never change. Anyway, I will let me from 3 years ago explain what kind of game we're talking about today. For this one, I made some little notes here in my sketchbook. Basically, what I wanted to do is just a really simple memory game, you know, memory where you have card A and card B and you flip them and hooray, they're the same card. I wanted to do that with the Japanese alphabet, so you have the... I wanted to make an app where you can learn the Japanese alphabet. Maybe some of you are starting to see the problem here already. So back then, the idea only included hiragana and katakana, and it was really just 5 hiragana paired with the English pronunciation. Quick explanation why that was maybe not a good idea. Hiragana and katakana are 2 out of the 3 Japanese alphabets. So, and if you put some work into it, you can learn those fairly easily. Also, you should probably learn them with mnemonic, that word. So a memory app maybe isn't the best way to learn them. Alright, moving on. Fast forward to January 2018. So again, this is the phase where Joseph and me are at Spellkollektivet. We don't have a programmer, neither of us can program. And we also don't have any funding, so we're kind of lost. However, one of those factors is about to change. In our home state of Bavaria in Germany, they have funding for film and for games. For games they have prototype and like whole project funding, but they also have concept funding. For up to 20,000 euros. However, Joseph and me would never apply because like applying for funding felt so big and so official. So we never really took that into consideration.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
One winter morning I felt brave enough and I just picked up the phone and called the funding bureau, and to my luck, on the other end was a woman called Lena, and Lena is an amazing person and I am so glad that she picked up the phone that day. She's super hyped about games, she's not at all about bureaucracy, and it was just such a fantastic experience talking to her. Through making that call and talking with her, we gained the confidence to apply for the funding. And which project was small enough that the two of us could tackle it together and also had like kind of a core idea already. Yeah, it was my Japanese memory game thing. We filled out all of the forms for the funding and actually started thinking about the memory idea. At this point we kind of discovered that maybe hiragana and katakana was a bad idea, so we changed the concept to something that made much more sense for a memory game, which was kanji. Kanji Memo was born and we applied for 9,000 euros of funding. Originally we wanted to go for 7,000, but Lena was like, no, everybody else is applying for 20,000. Your 7,000 look way too small a number, at least do 9,000, please. And we were like, okay. The deadline for the funding was April 2018, so we only had 1 month to complete all of the documents, and we just put everything that we had into those funding documents, by which I mean we graphic designed the shit out of those documents. You can probably already guess it, we got the funding, we were fucking hyped, and yeah, from April 2018 we had 6 months to finish the concept for Kanji Memo. And now you might say, it's just a fucking kanji memory game, what is there to concept? Let me explain. So, step 1. Learn enough about kanji to make a kanji memory game. Yeah, you thought we might have done that already before. No, we fucking didn't. I knew some kanji, but like, not a lot. However, first thing we did, we sat down, we figured out how do you best learn kanji, and there's a couple different ways. So we really quickly found out that us teaching other people kanji would not be what we were attempting to do. So what we instead wanted to focus on was a set bunch of vocabulary that people who are already learning Japanese need to review for a test. And turns out, if you're learning Japanese, the first test that you're probably gonna take is the JLPT5 test. And for that test, you roughly need to know 150 kanji. This might be the time where I go on a quick tangent about what kanji are. So kanji are Chinese characters used in the Japanese language. They can either mean one word or a concept, or just like vague concept that only gets meaning when it is in context with other words or other letters. You just have to learn them. It's really frustrating. Step 2. Figure out the vibe of the game. Are we going to be more cartoony? Are we going to be minimalistic? How fancy do we want to go? Make example graphics, make all the layouts, especially since our whole game is just interfaces. Yeah, those interfaces need to be pretty. So we took the old mashup that I had made of the game and made new layouts, changed the color palette. Yeah, just figuring out the whole look. And then 3. Do market research and really think about why it is a good idea to make a memory game about kanji that only features a small amount of kanji. We looked at a lot of apps, and I've been using some of those apps, and I don't know why, but they don't hold my attention. I'm currently learning kanjis with a book because I don't know why I can't learn on my phone. It's just not a tool that I can use. And I've figured out that a lot of these apps are very minimalistic, and maybe they all pick from the same database. But yeah, they have some cool ways of teaching you the kanji, but for me, I think it's just overwhelming, it's just too much. So that doesn't mean that those apps are bad. Those apps are just like, they're out there, they're free, and they are like textbooks, which is great for anyone that can use those and like learn with them. However, if I use my phone for anything, it's playing games. So I wanted an app that if you have to take a 20-minute or a 10-minute bus or train ride, you sit down and you just play around. And that is kind of why we didn't want to make a huge app that teaches and then has quizzes and then does all these things, but it's literally just you play one round, you memorize the 6 or 12 or however many kanji you've already learned in your course, or like, so you're just revisiting those over and over to really hammer them in your brain for that JLPT 5 test. Fucking sunset! Wait, I can fix this! I'm a professional! Haha! After we had the finished concept, we were like, this is such a small game. We can make this. We already made a lot of graphics and we already have all of the layouts. So we really just need someone to program this. So there was a programmer at Spellkollektivet who we asked to program Kanji Memo. And that programmer was like, yeah, I've always wanted to try the default engine, and that is perfect for mobile, and I have time. That programmer was James. Of course he was gonna do it. It was a simple memory app. What could go wrong? So we started working on the game. Since the graphical style was finalized, I just spent a lot of time finishing up all of the interfaces and the graphics needed for the interfaces, and Joseph, who had at this point discovered his graphic design flat style vector art side, started to make a bunch of icons for all of the kanji that we had decided to include into the app.
Time was ticking. We were still in touch with Lena, so we had to get that cracking now. And with my new art skill, Simone and I kind of built up a pipeline. She did the scribbles, I did the artification. So I was able to do the whole memory cards myself.
We even got help from our friend Rasmus, who at that point wanted to learn 2D animation with a tool called Spine. He learned Spine and actually, while learning, used our assets and made the animations for the game. Which, yeah, I don't know, it was super cool. We were all just like working on this small thing together, and it almost felt like we had a tiny team. But then, yeah, you all saw that one coming. Spellkollektivet moved to a new building in October of 2018. The new building had space for a lot more people, so Spellkollektivet was ready for a lot of expansion. Have I mentioned that James was running Spellkollektivet almost all by himself, and Rasmus, the guy who did our animations, was the handyman who was gonna renovate this whole new big building? I'm sure that's not gonna hinder the game development in any way. So the project at this point was about 70% complete. And James really wanted to finish the project with us because he had already spent so much time on it, but he just didn't have any time. So from October 2018 to October 2019, a whole year. And that whole year, we finished the following things. We finished the list of kanji with the help of 2 people in the house who spoke fluent Japanese. They looked over our list and adjusted some things and helped us figure out the final list of kanji that would be super useful to know for the JLPT5. We finished all of the graphics for the kanji and implemented those. Joseph had to learn how to use the engine and how to do implementation, and yeah, he did that. We asked all of our housemates to translate the roughly 150 kanji that we had into the native languages. So we actually had a database of like all of the vocabulary in 8 different languages. And at that point we even got some of the polishing done, and we had a Windows build that had all of the functionality. We were so fucking close, but then came the last 5%, and those were bugs. And also getting the game on mobile. For all of these tasks that I mentioned previous that we got done, James could just like knock them out in the evening hours or in the morning hours. However, to get the game running on our phones, fixing a lot of the little visual bugs, really getting deep into like the last 5%, for those tasks, James just needed to have hours of uninterrupted time, which he was just not getting. We were kind of stuck at that point because James didn't have the capacity to finish the game, and Joseph and me had done all of the tasks that we could do. Like, we couldn't learn the whole default engine and then do mobile development. That was just something like, even if we at that point knew some programming, we knew nothing about mobile development. So we were just stuck. We talked to him about it, and in October 2018 we moved out of Spelkollektivet and we took the project with us to search for another programmer who would finish the last 5%. And I quickly want to talk about this moment because at that point this hadn't happened. Like, if you've seen the Cats Organized Neatly video, Joseph and me previously had trouble finding reliable programmers to start a company with. So at that point we knew that, oh, the two of us, if we start a company, we can only hire a freelance programmer, but we can never fully rely on someone. And then through the experience with James, like, of course, like, he had to run Spelkollektivet. Of course he couldn't put the time into our project. However, at the time we were both like, why is it cursed? Why can't we finish projects? Like, thinking back now, we should have anticipated it, and like the whole situation now is completely understandable, but I just want to talk about it because if you start a project and you don't have a full-time team, but you're working with freelancers or people you met over the internet, there's just not such a close connection. So you need to be the core person keeping everything together. And Joseph and me back then, we just pushed that responsibility onto James. We were like, you're the programmer, here, like, finish this thing, here, have this whole project. We've done all our tasks, we can do anything. And only after we saw like, holy shit, he really doesn't have the time, we were like, yeah, it is our project. We need to fucking fix this. So yeah, that is also kind of why I wanted to make this video. Like, always keep that in mind. It is your project, it is your baby. You have to take care of it, and like, don't expect others to like carry the whole thing for you. Yeah, so how did we get this thing wrapped up? While still at Spelkollektivet, we told this whole story to someone who told us, hey, I actually know a programmer who uses the same programming language, and he's based in Munich, so when you move back to Munich, just call up the guy and talk to him. Maybe he has a couple of spare hours. We call up the guy, everything works out, we finish contract, and in January 2020 we finally start working on the game again. And we were pretty sure that we were gonna release in April of 2020, and then the fucking apocalypse happened, and yeah, just we were all just collectively taking a break for 6 months. I don't remember spring happening or like half of the summer this year. Like, I don't know, just quarantine overall just feels like a blur. So anyway, in August 2020 we pick up the game again, we tested it, we made some pop-ups for a demo version, we got the store texts translated, And then the app was finished, it was done, it was tested, and it was finally running on all devices without any weird graphical bugs. Looking at you, Huawei. Then we just had to press the release button, but we were in the middle of releasing Virtual Cottage and Cats Organized Neatly, and that was just too fucking much. We didn't want to care about a third game right in the middle of the other launches. So we waited for 2 to 3 weeks and then really quietly pressed the release button on the Google Play Store. So yeah, now we have an Android app. Right now, if you go on the Google Play Store, there is a free demo version with 6 packs, each containing 6 pairs of cards. So if you just want to check out the app, see the animation, see like the overall how it works, you can just download it for free. If you are actively learning for the JLPT and really just want something quick to play in between like whatever you do, to review the kanjis that you've already learned, then I can recommend buying the full version. Like I said, it comes with between 150 to 160 kanji. I don't know the full number right now, but it's on the App Store page. And then if you want to actually learn just a bunch of Japanese kanji and understand the core fundamentals, to give you like a basic knowledge so that you can learn a lot of words, then I would recommend that you rather spend your money on this book. It's called Remembering the Kanji, and this is what I'm using at the moment right now. And yeah, it just teaches you 2,500 kanji. So if you're not studying for the JLPT but just want a large vocabulary to be able to read a lot of stuff, then yeah, I'd recommend that book over the app that we made. We finished another really small project, and like, if you see the project, you're probably gonna laugh because it is so small. It took us almost 3 years to finish this damn thing. And if you do game development, like, just keep that in mind. Like, the simplest projects can just take a while. If you're making games or you want to get into making games, make super small projects and just release them. Release them for free, put them on itch, just show them to your friends, and then slowly scale up. Like, don't do a game with 20-30 hours of gameplay. Don't make your AAA game as your first project. Your chance of success is so much higher if you just scale down. And that's it. I hope you enjoyed the video. Keep making games, keep learning and improving, and yeah, if you want to, links in the description if you want to check out the Kanji Memo game. Yeah. Bye! Oh yeah, look at that, the sun was just about to set. I just finished the video in time. Also ignore how dirty our window is.